You see it glowing behind the supermarket glass, skin bronzed and crackling, juices slipping to the bottom of the tray, the smell rich enough to stop people mid-step. It looks simple, almost ancient, like the kind of meal humans have been making forever. Just a roast chicken. But that bird has already traveled through one of the most controlled, mechanized, and carefully timed food systems in the modern world. Long before it turns golden in an oven, it begins as a fertilized egg in a breeder operation, moves through incubation and hatchery handling, grows in climate-controlled broiler houses, then passes through inspection, slaughter, chilling, seasoning, cooking, cooling, packaging, and distribution under strict food safety oversight. In the United States, this whole chain exists inside a regulatory environment led by USDA and FSIS, with ready-to-eat cooked poultry subject to especially tight pathogen controls. And that is what makes roast chicken fascinating. It feels homemade, but industrial roast chicken is really a story about precision. The bird in front of you is the result of temperature curves, feed schedules, airflow management, sanitation systems, line speeds, microbial testing, cooking validations, and logistics timed down to the hour. Even the tenderness you associate with comfort food is partly engineered by breeding, nutrition, controlled growth, rapid chilling, and carefully designed cooking systems. What looks rustic at the end is actually the polished surface of a massive process built to deliver the same flavor, texture, safety, and appearance again and again. The story starts not in a kitchen but with parent birds, often called breeder flocks. These are not the chickens you eat. Their job is to produce fertile eggs that will eventually become broilers, the meat chickens raised for market. Those eggs are collected, handled carefully, and sent to hatcheries, where they enter incubators that recreate the temperature, humidity, and turning conditions needed for development. What seems like a quiet beginning is actually one of the most delicate parts of the entire chain, because hatch quality affects everything that follows: growth rate, health, feed efficiency, and uniformity. A good roast chicken factory does not begin with roasting. It begins with consistency at the egg stage. Inside the hatchery, thousands of eggs sit in ordered rows while machines manage the environment more accurately than nature ever could on a commercial scale. The eggs are warmed, rotated, and monitored through incubation until hatch day arrives and the shells begin to crack. Then comes one of the strangest transitions in food production. The chicks emerge soft, damp, and fragile, and within hours they are moving through a world of conveyors, trays, lights, vaccinations, sorting, and transport. It is not dramatic in the cinematic sense. It is dramatic because every minute matters. The first hours of a chick's life influence hydration, access to feed, stress, and the all-important start that helps determine how evenly the flock will grow. Extension guidance and industry materials emphasize that pre-placement conditions such as heat, water, ventilation, and feed access have to be ready before chicks arrive. From there, the chicks go to broiler farms. This is where the public imagination often gets fuzzy. Many people still picture a random old-fashioned farmyard, but broiler production is usually a highly managed indoor system. The birds are placed in large poultry houses with controlled temperature, ventilation, lighting, bedding, feed lines, and watering systems. In the early stage, called brooding, warmth is critical because young chicks cannot regulate body temperature well. As they grow feathers and body mass, the environment changes with them. Airflow becomes more important. Litter management matters. Feed and water access must stay constant. Everything is tuned toward one result: healthy growth from day-old chick to market bird in a matter of weeks. Broilers are commonly processed at around 6 to 8 weeks of age. This is also where one of the biggest hidden forces in the roast chicken story comes into play: conversion. A broiler farm is constantly asking a simple question: how efficiently can feed become muscle? The answer shapes the cost of chicken, the speed of production, and the final size of the bird. Modern broiler systems are built around genetics, nutrition, and housing practices that encourage uniform growth. That matters later, because factories want birds that fit predictable roasting profiles. If one chicken is far heavier than the next, cooking becomes less efficient and consistency suffers. The supermarket customer may think they are buying flavor, but the factory is also selling repeatability. As the birds near market weight, the process changes from husbandry to harvesting. Catching crews gather the chickens, often at night or in low light to reduce stress, and place them into transport modules or crates for the trip to the processing plant. Timing here matters more than most people realize. The birds must arrive in good condition, and the plant schedule must absorb them quickly. A modern poultry plant is not simply a building where animals are processed. It is a timed pipeline. Trucks arrive, birds are unloaded, inspection systems begin, and the entire line moves forward under sanitation and regulatory control. FSIS requires ante-mortem and post-mortem inspection in official establishments, meaning birds are checked before and during slaughter processes. Then comes the part many consumers never see, but the entire system depends on. The birds are hung on shackles and move through stunning and bleeding. After that, they enter scalding tanks or systems designed to loosen feathers, then pass through mechanical pickers that remove them. Feet are removed. The carcasses are opened and eviscerated. Internal organs come out. Inspection continues. This is where poultry processing stops being abstract and becomes unmistakably industrial. Stainless steel lines, water, steam, rotating rubber fingers, knives, belts, and trained workers all move at high speed, while inspectors and plant controls focus on wholesomeness, contamination prevention, and defect removal. FSIS materials describe post-mortem poultry inspection as covering the slaughter process from stunning through packaging, with evisceration ending when carcasses enter the chiller. After evisceration, chilling becomes the next crucial step. Warm carcasses are ideal territory for microbial growth, so they must be cooled rapidly. In many poultry systems, chilling is done with cold water immersion, though air chilling is also used in parts of the industry. Rapid chilling is not just about freshness. It is a food safety checkpoint. Some processors note that poultry can absorb some water during chilling, which is one reason moisture may later appear in packaging. By the time a bird exits this stage, it is no longer a live animal, or even just a cleaned carcass. It is becoming a standardized food product, cold, inspected, and ready for the next decision. Sold raw, cut into parts, or routed into further processing. In the U.S., a large share of chicken production goes into parts or value-added products rather than whole birds. And this is where our roast chicken story narrows in. Not every processed bird becomes a roast chicken. Some are portioned into breasts, wings, or thighs. Others become nuggets, strips, patties, or marinated products. But the birds chosen for whole roasting usually need the right size and appearance. Once selected, they may be seasoned by injection, tumbling, rubbing, or surface application depending on the product style. Salt is especially important here. To the customer, seasoning means flavor. To the processor, it also means moisture retention, texture, and stability during cooking. Herbs, sugars, phosphates in some formulations, oils, and flavor blends can all be used depending on labeling and product design. What the shopper sees as savory is really a controlled interaction between muscle proteins, heat, and seasoning chemistry. Now the bird enters the part people imagine first: roasting. But even here, the industrial version is more varied than the home version. Some chickens are cooked in rotisserie-style ovens that create the classic self-basting look consumers love. Others may be cooked in large continuous or batch ovens using convection, steam assist, or carefully managed humidity and airflow. The goal is not just to cook the meat through. The plant must validate a lethal cooking process that reduces pathogens to required levels for ready-to-eat safety. FSIS cooking guidelines for ready-to-eat meat and poultry products are built around time and temperature combinations designed to achieve that lethality. So when the bird slowly turns brown behind the glass, that color is only part of the story. Underneath it is a documented kill step. This is also where the sensory magic happens. Heat tightens the skin. Fat renders. Water evaporates from the surface. Proteins denature. Sugars and amino acids react in browning chemistry that creates roast aromas people instantly recognize. The bird that looked pale and clinical after chilling now begins to smell like a family dinner. And this transformation is one reason roast chicken remains such a powerful food. Industrially, it has traveled through hatcheries, barns, and processing lines. Emotionally, it arrives in your brain as warmth, comfort, and home. The factory is solving for safety and uniformity, but the customer is buying nostalgia. Once roasting is complete, the process still is not over. If the bird is destined for hot deli sale, the challenge becomes hot holding and timed turnover. If it is being packaged as a chilled, ready-to-eat product, the next steps often include controlled cooling, portioning in some cases, and packaging under conditions designed to preserve quality and reduce contamination risk. Packaging systems for poultry commonly include vacuum or modified atmosphere approaches depending on product type. Fully cooked chicken products also face strict scrutiny because ready-to-eat foods do not get a second kill step in the consumer's kitchen. That is why pathogen control, sanitation, and environmental monitoring are so important after cooking. Then comes labeling, boxing, palletizing, and cold chain distribution. At this point, the bird has become a data object as much as a meal. It carries lot codes, production dates, storage requirements, ingredient declarations, and handling instructions. It enters refrigerated transport and moves toward grocery stores, warehouse clubs, convenience chains, and food service operations. The roast chicken in a supermarket warmer may have been cooked only hours before purchase, while other ready-to-eat chicken products are distributed chilled or frozen through much longer networks. In every case, time and temperature remain the invisible rulers of the final stretch. USDA guidance for consumers stresses that hot, ready-prepared chicken should be kept hot or refrigerated within 2 hours, showing that food safety continues even after the factory is done. And that may be the most surprising part of the entire journey. The roast chicken looks finished, but it is really a handoff. The factory can hatch, raise, process, inspect, chill, season, roast, package, and ship. It can design a system so efficient that thousands of birds move through it with extraordinary consistency. It can turn biology into inventory, and inventory into the smell that fills a deli aisle at 5 p.m., but the last chapter still belongs to the person who picks it up. Maybe it becomes a rushed dinner in a parking lot. Maybe it feeds a family of 5. Maybe it gets stripped for soup, sandwiches, salads, and leftovers that stretch 3 more days. The industrial process ends at the store. The human meaning begins at the table. So the next time you see that golden bird rotating under warm lights, remember what you are really looking at. Not just dinner, not just a chicken. You are looking at an entire chain of biology, engineering, regulation, logistics, and chemistry compressed into one familiar object. A breeder egg became a hatchery chick. A chick became a broiler. A broiler entered a plant, passed inspection, was cleaned, chilled, seasoned, roasted, packaged, and delivered. And somehow, after all that machinery and all that control, it still arrives with the oldest promise food can make. That something warm is waiting for you at the end of the day.